Support for the Leadoff on WGLT and WGLT.org comes from the Central Illinois Regional Airport. The airport team strives to make air travel accessible to all through the Sunflower program, allowing individuals to self-identify when they need more assistance. More on the Hidden Disability Sunflower program at CIRA.com.
The group raising money for ISU's student-athlete endorsement deals has launched a new effort to help men's basketball. That's one of the things you need to know to start your day for Thursday, July 11th. I'm Ryan Denham, and this is WGLT's The Leadoff. Now let's lead off with that new effort to support ISU men's basketball. It's by helping its student-athletes land endorsement deals. WGLT's Eric Stock has the story.
The group that's fundraising for ISU student-athletes to get name, image, and likeness money has started a subgroup specifically for Redbird men's basketball. The Empower the Nest Collective has started the 1998 club, marking the last year the Redbird men won the Missouri Valley Conference Championship.
Obviously, we want to get back to the tournament, and we just don't want to get back once. We want to be back into the tournament year in, year out.
That's Empower the Nest president Jason Higdon, who says Coach Ryan Peaton was the first at ISU to request a dedicated campaign from the collective.
Right, and I think Coach Peaton's brought in some really nice pieces. I think we're moving in the right direction.
Higdon says Empower the Nest plans to launch other sports-specific efforts in the coming months, including football and women's basketball. And more than 100 student-athletes at ISU signed endorsements and other deals through NIL in the last academic year. That's according to Brennan White, ISU's director of NIL. He says his role has changed several times since he was hired last August because the NCAA rules on student endorsements keep changing.
It's such an interesting world that we now live in the collegiate space in terms of NIL, the transfer portal, conference realignment.
The average NIL deal at ISU last year was valued at nearly $1,800. For the Leadoff, I'm Eric Stock.
Here's some other stories we're following in the WGLT newsroom. A 33-year-old Bloomington woman has been charged with causing her son's death. 8-year-old Raimundo Bucio Flores died from injuries related to a car crash last week on Interstate 74 near Bloomington. Hollywood icon George Clooney has Governor J.B. Pritzker on a short list of potential Democratic replacements for President Joe Biden. In a New York Times op-ed, Clooney says Biden needs to step aside. And state figures show cannabis sales are accelerating in Illinois. The governor's office says the state has reached $1 billion in sales for the year on July 1st. That's a couple of weeks faster than last year. You can find more on these stories at WGLT.org. The McLean County Center for Human Services in downtown Bloomington offers multiple public trainings on behavioral health and prevention. It just started offering its QPR suicide prevention training in American Sign Language, or ASL, to reach a wider audience. One of the center's mental health awareness trainers, Rose Ado, tells WGLT's Melissa Ellen what the training entails.
So QPR, it does stand for Question, Persuade, and Refer. And really the idea behind QPR is that we can show people how suicide is preventable. And so we go through why it's important to take the training, and we explain to people that the most important thing they can do if they think that someone is thinking about suicide is ask them. But a lot of people don't ask because they don't know what to do next. And so we talk to them about what that conversation can look like, what they should do after they have that conversation. And we try to make sure that they have resources in our community and like locally and nationally for what they can do if someone's thinking about suicide.
Center for Human Services has started doing these trainings in ASL. And my understanding is you have started doing these trainings in ASL. So talk to me about the difference in doing it in ASL and then the regular trainings and what that looks like.
One of the things that we've discovered as we started doing trainings is that there are a lot of communities who don't have these types of resources. And so as we've talked to people who are Spanish speaking or French speaking, we started talking about ways that we might be able to branch out. And I was raised in a deaf household, so sign language is my first language. And so I offered to start providing these trainings in ASL. So we didn't have a specific request for them, but we know that people who are in different communities might not have access to these types of things. And as far as we know, no one in the United States, even though this training is available nationally, is providing it in ASL. So that's something we thought we could start doing to just get the word out.
How long have those trainings been going on in ASL?
So we've offered one. We're offering another one at the end of this month, July 25th.
And how was turnout for that first one?
Unfortunately, we didn't have any turnout, so we're trying to get the word out to let people know that it's something that we're offering and to see if people feel that it's a need in that community.
Another thing about the Center for Human Services QPR trainings is that they're also free. So talk to me more about those accessibility components and why it's important to have this type of suicide prevention training in communities for anyone to go to.
Well, specifically when it comes to suicide prevention training, we know that suicide does not respect any socioeconomic status. It doesn't respect any race or religion or anything like that. So every community is affected by suicide. And so we are trying to make sure that we can offer this training to anyone who's interested in it. So yes, the QPR suicide prevention training is free. We also offer mental health first aid for adults and mental health first aid for people who work with youth. And all of those trainings are provided for free.
We've talked a lot about what the training is. What does it look like in action, though? Can you give me an example of how it can be used or even how you have used it?
I know that in my own life, part of this training is that myself and my co-facilitator, we provide this training because we have our own lived experience with mental health challenges. I have my own lived experience with having suicidal thoughts. And so when I do the training, I'm very open and tell people my story and let people know that there were a couple of individuals in my life who were willing to ask me if I was doing okay. They noticed the signs and clues that something might not be okay, and they were willing to have that conversation with me.
That was Rose Ado from the McLean County Center for Human Services speaking with WGLT's Melissa Ellen. Melissa covers mental health as a Report for America Corps member. Report for America places journalists in local newsrooms across the country to cover underreported topics.
Support for WGLT mental health coverage comes from Report for America and Chestnut Health Systems, caring for the community's physical and mental health and celebrating 50 years of service.
Before we let you go, the Bloomington Human Relations Commission meets today at 4:30 at the Police Department's Osborne Room. On the agenda are updates from this year's Juneteenth Festival and next year's MLK Luncheon. That's it for today. I'm Ryan Denham. The show is produced by Lou Warner. You can subscribe to the Leadoff on the NPR app or wherever you get your podcasts.